Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Hello, everyone. This is May Vu, and today I have a really luscious show coming at you. You can tell by my tone of voice, I'm not my usual hyper, woo, I'm so excited to be here today kind of person. But I was just checking in with my guest, Johanna Lyman, and there's just something so beautiful that we're creating for you right now about this show, this conversations about sexual secrets and shame. This is just such a sexual shame and secrets are like at the core of our prison around our sexuality. And every one of us in one way or another carry some kind of secrets, some kinds of shame around our sexuality, around our relationship with ourselves, and any other angle of life that we may have. So the more we can touch on this, the more we will free ourselves and allow ourselves to heal, to thrive, and to have the best life that we can on this planet. So I can't wait till we dive into the conversation. And for myself personally, I talked to Johanna around this topic about a month ago preparing for this show, and at that time I said to her, I don't have any secrets or shame. I've worked it all out and I'm so open and blah, blah, blah. And ever since then, little tiny bits would come out and would go, oh, is this a secret? I didn't know I had that as a secret. Oh, I didn't know this was in the corner of my mind right there. So it's been a really nice unraveling box for myself. So that's what we both hope is that as we engage in this conversation today, that you'll get to hear our secrets and our stories or whatever other stories that we'd like to share, other people's stories that we'd like to share. And then we hope that it will open the door for your secrets to come out to you and reveal that, and hopefully will free you up from there. Before I dive in and introduce Johanna to you, I'd like to share with you a little bit of stuff that what I and my friends and colleagues who are playing over at Sex, Lies, and Consciousness, what we've been up to. You should know by now that I do the radio show every Monday as often as I can. Once in a while there'll be a repeat show just because I'm out producing other shows or doing something else. And also on every other Thursday evening, I also host a Google Hangout on sex, lies, and consciousness. And on that one, it's a different format because there's a whole bunch of us on there, usually about 4 to 10 people hanging out and talking live on YouTube on matters that are dear to our hearts around sex and relationships. So last week we had a conversation last week was a week off. The week before that, we had a conversation on orgasmic meditation and why that is such a powerful spiritual practice that helps you open up your sex and your relationship and your connection with your partner or with people in general. Whether you have a partner or not, you can still engage in the orgasmic meditation practice. So if you are curious to know what that is, and if you've been looking to take up a meditation practice and sitting still on a pillow for 15 minutes doesn't thrill you, we have a new option for you. This one is really fun. You actually could have somebody stroke your clitoris for 15 minutes, and that is called a meditation. So check that show out. You can find all of my Google Hangouts on sexliesandconsciousness.com, or you can also find us on Sex, Lies, and Consciousness fan page on Facebook. So go there and check us out. All right, let's bring in Miss Johanna. Johanna is a beautiful woman, really, literally, physically, inside and out. And she's a creator, producer, and director of Opening Pandora's Box, Stories of Truth and Hope. She brings together groups of women who have risen from the chaos of shame and secrecy to make the world a better place. And they're telling their stories, some for the first time even, live on stage. So the next show that is live will be in San Jose, California in September. And Johanna will tell you the exact date and how you can get tickets later on at the end of the show. And so I invited her on this conversation to share with me her own secrets and shame and any other angle of this conversation so that we can have an intimate conversations around this. So Johanna, come and join us, honey.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. We're on Skype, so sometimes Skype doesn't come clear, and we just hope that it will all be clear today. So tell them a little bit more about yourself. Aside from the formal stuff, give us a little more, like how old you are, what kind of relationship you're in, and where you're going with your sexuality. Let's just start there.
Okay. That sounds like a fun place to start. And hopefully you're not hearing the echo that I'm hearing. Oh, good, it went away. All right, so I'm Johanna Lyman, and I am 45 years old. I'll be 46 next month. Mm-hmm. And I have been with the same man for 26 years.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
Thank you. And we've certainly had our ups and downs. And we've got a beautiful 16-year-old daughter and a couple of four-leggeds in our family. And I was actually a relationship coach for a while because in 2007, my husband and I split up. I left him because I had changed. Of course, I was 40 at the time, that magic number where women like wake up and go, who am I and what am I doing with this person in bed next to me? Yeah. So I did that, and like a lot of women, I threw out the baby with the bathwater and really did a lot of deep work on myself, and finally came to the realization that it wasn't just him. It was me too, and we...
Come on, it's only him, not us.
Right. Well, it is so much easier to point a finger than to look in the mirror. But we ended up doing the work individually and then together, and getting back together and creating a really conscious relationship.
Wow.
Which is not to say it's always easy, but we have the most amazing relationship now. We tell the truth to each other. We've exposed our shame. We've exposed that soft underbelly where we're all afraid. The bottom of it is that we're all afraid of not being loved or being abandoned. And when you speak the truth about stuff like that, it breaks the chains that bind you.
Do you remember any of the recent conversation? Of the underbelly that you kind of like went, oh God, I've done all that, but maybe this conversation is going to break us apart for sure this time.
Oh. Well, let's see. Yeah, actually, and I didn't say, oh, this one's going to break us apart this time, but I think with hindsight, I was afraid that it was going to be too much.
Yes,
and
right?
That's kind of my story, is I'm too much. Like I go too deep, and it shows up in a lot of areas in my life. And with him, it was, oh God, if I really tell the truth about this, he's going to finally say, I'm too much, I'm too high maintenance, he wants out. And it was when I finally admitted that I really didn't believe he was going to stay with me. And so I was like pushing him away so that I could leave him and not be left. And that's, as I'm sure you know, it's such a common dynamic.
No, I don't know anything about that at all.
Never had that experience, ever.
Never heard of it, never seen it in my clients, not see it in myself either.
No. And, you know, and what it was, at the bottom of it was, I didn't trust him.
Mm.
And
honey, let's just pause there for a moment.
Yeah.
We should just put our hands on our heart and just bow our head and do one whole minute of, I don't trust my man.
Yeah.
Isn't it just the saddest thing? And it's the truth. So more true. It's such a deep truth at such a deep level for just about all of us women. I want to just say, I think for all of us women, we have a very hard time trusting our man.
Yeah. And you want to know an even deeper truth?
Oh, God. Can I handle it?
I think you can.
Okay. Brace myself. I'm sitting down. Go ahead.
Okay, keep your hand on your heart.
Yes, it's on my heart, really.
It's because we really don't trust ourselves.
Oh, you made me want to cry.
It made me cry.
I know. Why is it so hard to trust ourselves? Trust our own guidance, trust our own wisdom, trust that we can handle it, and then trust our man that they can handle it, that they're actually in our life because they're worthy, that they're here to be fully in our life and not just, one little toe in there.
Well, it's been socialized out of us. Especially as women, we're taught not to trust our intuition, not to trust our knowing. We're, be good girls are seen and not heard. Don't show anger. Don't be kooky. Don't be that loud. Don't be that outrageous. Just be a good girl.
Yeah. Right. And so much more. I mean, there's so much more, right?
Yeah, like just the tip of the iceberg.
Like, don't trust you'll feel good. You should be disciplined and work hard and give away yourself. That's, for some reason, that's trustworthy. But if you stand and say, you know what, that doesn't feel good for me, or that I really like this one, that really feels good, like somehow we have shame around that.
We do. We have huge amounts of shame around sex, sexuality, around our bodies. I mean, how many of the women in our audience don't like to have sex with the lights on? Or if they're brave and they have sex with the lights on, do they keep their eyes open?
Oh, right.
Now that's being naked.
Right. Or then do they look at their parts when they have sex, or what else? What else that was hard to do?
Well, even I think the ability for women to orgasm, the difficulty so many women have in orgasming is because of shame.
You think?
I do. I actually think our inbred shame around sex, sexuality, and our body, because think about it. We were told, many of us, not everybody, some are lucky and didn't get this message, but I know I was told as a very young child, don't touch yourself. I even remember hearing stories that, like, if boys masturbated too much, their eyes would cross. They'd go blind.
Yeah.
I actually remember my mother saying, if you masturbate, you'll go blind.
Hey, I had the same mother. Are we twins? Are we sisters or something?
Mr. I think, yeah. Well, I've got news for you. I am not blind. and I masturbate.
No, you just told the whole entire world that you masturbate.
I do, even married, even with a great sex life.
Oh, nice. So let's tell a story. And then we'll come back to this.
Okay.
You got one?
I've got a million. Let's see. All right, I'll tell you the story of the first time I remember masturbating.
Okay.
I was in 5th grade math class.
5th grade, so you were about 8.
I think I was like 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and 10 or 11. And I was in math class, and I was bored, and I just kind of wasn't even aware at first of what I was doing. I just noticed all of a sudden that I was feeling really good, and then I realized I was like diddling. And then I was like, oh, this feels really good, and math class is really boring. And I was masturbating under, I was sitting at my desk, so my hands were under the desk, and I made myself orgasm. And
wait, you gotta give us more details. So, like
okay.
Were you wearing pants or skirt? And
it wasn't pants, and it was over the It was over the cloth of the pants.
Okay, so your hand was outside, but you just kind of like pressure it, right?
I was like pressuring and kind of wiggling my fingers back and forth. Oh, and I also was wiggling my legs back and forth.
Oh.
Okay, so I know some of you are already doing this. So, but if you put your legs out straight in front of you and just kind of rock them back and forth, like together and apart, and just do that kind of rhythmically, kind of like gets things going in the center where your legs meet.
Oh, nice.
So I had figured that out. And so my legs are going and my fingers going, and I was just getting more and more aroused. And then I orgasmed, and
how did you wipe the stupid look off your face?
Oh, I didn't even think about wiping.
I don't mean to call that look stupid either, by the way, but I don't know how else to describe it.
It's like a dazed and confused look, like, oh.
Yeah, I'm 1,000 miles away feeling good. Don't bother me, look.
Exactly. I've got this like silly smile on my face, and and it actually didn't occur to me in the moment that I was doing something wrong. It was only after the fact, and like maybe later in the day, or maybe even beyond that I realized, oh, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, not only you're not supposed to do that, but you're really not supposed to do it in public.
So you weren't caught then?
I wasn't caught, although I still wonder sometimes if the teacher, just kind of ignored it. Really? I mean, it's pretty obvious when someone's having an orgasm. It's kind of hard to miss.
So did you walk away from that feeling shame or embarrassed, or feeling kind of like pride and going, where else am I going to do this at?
Well, in the moment, I was just feeling really satisfied.
Oh, okay, right. Don't go so fast, May.
Right. I was like, oh, that feels really good. But then later, I imagined, it sort of dawned on me that I could have been caught. And so it was the idea of being caught that created shame for me.
Oh, God, it didn't create thrill?
No, not at the time. No.
You're not quite as rebellious as I am.
Well, now I'd be like, where can we do it and not get caught, or maybe kind of almost get caught. I'm definitely the more adventurous of my partnership.
Yeah.
But then it was just like that, and it was, it's hard to describe, but because it didn't feel like I felt ashamed, it felt like I knew I was supposed to be ashamed.
Yeah. I'm noticing that in my 12-year-old daughter right now, because her boobs are coming in. And come on, she grows up with me, right? I am a champion for healthy and open sexualness and everything, and body, nakedness. I already taught her about, being naked anytime you want to, and also have really good, clean, clear discernment. I mean, this is the conversation I had with her since she was 5. It's like she was getting ready to go to her grandmother's house, and I said, when you go there, you might not want to take your clothes off and run around the house naked. And she looked at me and she goes, well, why not, Mama? And I said, because Grandma has issues with it. You don't have issues with it, but Grandma does. And I don't want her to put her stuff onto you, with your beautiful naked body and the fact that you love to run around naked. And she looked at me and she get it. She's like, oh, okay, I got it. So I know to do it here, but not there.
Right.
Right? So that's the kind of healthy message that she gets from me. And doggone it, I am seeing her walking around, hunching over, covering up her breasts, and just not touching them, and she's just like hyper vigilant over it, which I'm sure it's healthy and great, but I am kind of baffled with the level of shame or embarrassment or wanting to hide that's creeping in, and I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah, it came from our culture. And, I think a part of it is normal and natural because her body's changing and she doesn't quite know what to do with it. But a big piece of it, because I've got a teenage daughter too, and the messages they get from everywhere, like they get these healthy messages from you and I.
Right.
The minute they walk out the door, they're getting bombarded with unhealthy messages from their friends' parents, from television, from the mall, from magazines, everywhere. Yeah. They're getting this message that it's not okay to be you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it does. It feels like I'm standing here, one voice in in a mirage of noise and crap that, and I'm like screaming at the top of my lung going, no, you're beautiful, it is.
Yeah, keep screaming. It will help.
Hopefully she doesn't start tuning me out. Anyway.
No.
So let's share another one, but let's do one that is a little spicier. I'll do one.
Okay, you do one. And then I've got another one that's spicier.
Okay. Let's see. Gosh, which one wants to be shared? Well, this one is kind of spicy. Maybe I might have just gone right to the jalapeno style, but
I love that about you.
Like from 0 to jalapeno in 0 seconds. So I've been thinking about this. Well, we both know Ben and Jen Rohde.
Yes.
And Ben and Jen Rohde, just in case the audience doesn't know, is that they are a young married couple who quit their job and step into their life's work fully, all the way in, completely committed. And they became sexual healers by providing, by helping women achieve female ejaculation, like 30 minutes long ejaculation, so that they can heal and undo and get rid of all lifetimes of crap that we've collected inside our uterus and vagina. And I had the pleasure of receiving the work with them several times. And the first time, actually, it had me be in the minute Ben. Well, I had both. I had my boyfriend there, and I had Ben and Jen. Jen did the energetic work around us, and Ben did the physical, literally hands-on work in my vagina to help me reach ejaculation. And Keith was there, and for some reason, I don't know what they did, but having both big, tall men over me, it got me really in touch with the time where my dad had inappropriate touching with me. I call it that because it wasn't rape and it wasn't really abuse, because this is where it got confused for me, and this is where it became a secret, and then I didn't know I had like tons of shame around it, which is that I actually really liked it. Like my dad just started telling me, one day I was 14 or 16, something like that, and I had to stay home from school because I had my wisdom teeth pulled, and that was the day where they did the big sex talk at school. And so he asked if I wanted to know what it's about, and I said, yeah, sure, like being very casual about it. Well, long story short, I don't know, somehow he told me what it was about, and then he asked if I wanted to know what it feels like, and I said yes, and then he touched me on my clit or something. I blocked all of that out, but something happened there. And then from then on, every night he would come into my room and would fondle me for a while. And I liked it. And that's the part that was really hard for me to undo. I undid all the other stuff, anger and all that stuff. But the part that I liked it and it confused me, and I even fantasized about it at some phase of my life, really created a lot of shame in me. And I didn't know. And I just completely shoved that under the rug. And then I got married to my husband and, never thought anything about that event anymore. And we started having sex and all this stuff. And I started noticing that I would have dreams that mixed up my dad's energy with my husband's energy. I'm like, what's up with that? And then that created more shame because I'm like, oh, God, now I'm confusing dad and husband energy and blah, 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 blah. And so anyway, not until I did that work with Ben and Jen where I pulled it out and I was just like able to just openly said that to a girlfriend, and I could still feel the heat on my back as I'm sharing this publicly here. It's like so many noises are flying by my head right now, it's like, oh my God, can I really say this out loud on the radio? And oh my gosh, what if my dad hears this? He's still alive. And I feel really like a lot of tears around that. And then, oh my gosh, I don't want this to be misunderstood because it really is sacred, like something happened and then I have to work this through, and I don't know, there's just a lot of tenderness around this for me right now. And it's really sacred. This story is sacred. It's mine and it's lovely and it's vulnerable. Yeah.
I think the piece that makes it powerful is...
You need to speak a little louder so that we can come across clearer.
Okay. I think the piece that makes it so powerful is your admission that it felt good. And part of our shame stories around sex is that, when a molestation occurs, which I would call what happened to you a molest, that the boundaries were crossed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his responsibility to not cross those boundaries. And you were in a position where you really couldn't say no to that, even if you had wanted to. Mm. But that at the same time, it did feel pleasurable.
Mm-hmm. And
that can create a huge conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the one hand, it was inappropriate. And we also sort of have this connection that a molest or a rape or an assault, like it's not supposed to feel good.
Mm.
And a lot of times it doesn't. But there are times when it does.
Mm-hmm.
And then that brings about so much confusion.
It does. I can't fully, occupy the victim card cleanly. Like there's a part of me that really wants the victim card going, yes, I was molested by my dad and that's what's wrong with me. I that would be so much easier for me. But I don't. I actually feel really responsible for this. I actually feel all those things that I guess a victim would feel. I feel protective of my dad. I feel like, no, I don't want that label of being molested on there. And so it's all confusing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And May, I would actually say that you are a perfect example. Maybe you would want to be in the next show that I produce for opening.
I told you I was going to fly to the East Coast to do that show.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna be doing one in either San Francisco or Oakland at the end of next year. So you can be in that one.
Okay.
Because this is exactly the point. You had this experience, and I'm sure it's not the only reason that you're doing this work, but you had this experience that could create a tremendous amount of shame and confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the work that you do in the world now
mm-hmm.
is to take the shame and the secrecy out of sex.
Yep.
And I'm going to wager a bet that you would not be as interested in doing this work if you hadn't had that experience.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. And what I find interesting, though, is that doing this work one step at a time, one story at a time, one truth at a time, over this last year and a half, almost 2 years now. Oh gosh, time's gone by so fast. I've done this show almost 2 years now, and I feel so much more free and accessible and light. And I actually started out pretty damn free and light around sex in the first place, because I've done a lot of private work in the last 6-7 years around my sexuality. But literally doing this show and encouraging myself and my guests to talk freely and openly about their own personal experience really has done me so good, because I just feel like my lies are being busted and my consciousness are being raised. And when my consciousness are being raised, I feel a sense of freedom and acceptance and forgiveness around anything, around whatever that I'm talking about, So I guess today is one more round around this story for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that point about raising your consciousness is an important one, and that's where telling the truth comes in.
Yeah.
And not keeping secrets. Because shame actually thrives in secrecy.
Yeah.
It's like mushrooms in the wet, damp dark.
Let's come up with more metaphors. I'm sure we can make it even
I'm sure we can make it dirty pretty quickly.
Yeah, like I don't know. Mushroom in the damp, wet. Is that damp, wet earth? Was a little sexy, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I kind of thought it was.
Yeah, you're very poetic, honey.
Thank you. Yeah, but shame actually shrivels up and dies when it's facing the light of the truth.
It's like turning on the light on a bunch of cockroaches.
Yeah, exactly. They just scatter.
I'm a little more blunt in my poetry.
No, I like it because one of the reasons that shame can't sort of keep a grip on us when we tell the truth is because shame makes us believe that we are the only person that this has ever happened to.
Yeah.
And if I tell anyone that this has happened to me, they won't like me anymore.
Yeah. Well, they'll shame me.
Or they'll shame me even more.
Yeah.
I'll got the big red A on my shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, like as I was telling that story, there was just so much there's this part of my brain that's going to panic mode of oh God, I don't want to be misunderstood, and oh God, I don't want my dad to be misunderstood, and oh God, I don't want him to hear the show, and oh God, there's so much protection that comes up because I don't want to shake up what I have. I don't want to wreck or ruin what I have.
Yeah. So the status quo can stay in place, but then you don't grow and you don't heal.
Well, and then there's another part of me that says, well, what good is that going to do? Pulling back all that stuff for, how am I going to grow by creating destruction in the family and all this stuff, and Jesus Christ, shouldn't you be working on this in private therapy session and not on the radio show? That's the other noise in my head.
Well, yeah, and that's all the voices of shame trying to keep you from telling the truth.
Yeah, right? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I think the truth is that there's probably somebody listening who's had a similar experience, and by you telling the truth, you let her know that she's not the only one.
Or him.
Experience, or him, yeah. I mean, I had an experience in college where I had a little bit too much to drink, which, happens when you're in college.
Okay, we're going to pause you right there and tease them, and I'm going to go to a commercial, and when you come back, you tell that story, okay?
Is your marriage or relationship in crisis? Where one partner wants to expand into their sex and bring scary changes to the relationship, while the other partner is dug in, protective, and saying, "No way in hell is this going to happen." May knows this place well, and she can help both sides. She is truly amazing. Learn more about her specialty, crisis coaching for couples and individuals, at sexliesandconsciousness.com.
This is May. I am here with Johanna Lyman today talking about sexual secrets and shame. And Johanna is the creator and the host for her bi-coastal theater event called Opening Pandora's Box, Stories of Truth and Hope. So tell us your story, Johanna.
Yeah, and I just realized that I have never spoken this story out loud.
Oh, wow, goody.
Yeah. So I was in college, and there was this guy that we'd been sort of making eyes with each other and flirting a little bit, and but we hadn't spoken yet. And I had just started dating the man who is now my husband, but we weren't exclusive, or we just maybe like 2 weeks earlier started dating. And I had an opportunity to actually meet this guy, and he came back to my room, and we'd been drinking, and we started making out, which was fine with me. And then he wanted to go further, and I didn't. And he was very persuasive, partly because I was drunk.
Yeah. And
he ended up performing oral sex on me. So he was just like eating me out, like it was the best chocolate cake he'd ever had. And
chocolate on oyster.
And it felt really good. But I couldn't let myself enjoy it. Because I really had not wanted to go that far with him.
Yeah.
And that technically is a sexual assault.
Huh.
Because I said no.
And
I kept saying no.
Yeah.
But because I was drunk, and it's, I hate to even say that.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a cop-out.
Yeah.
So my shame is around, I put myself in a situation where I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I didn't stand up for myself. And we were talking earlier about how we don't trust our partners because we don't trust ourselves.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust myself to keep me safe.
Wow. Well, there's so many layers in that, right? You don't trust yourself to keep you safe. You don't trust yourself to make the right decision. You don't trust yourself to not compromising yourself. Like it's the same thing, but it's many different versions to kind of like put the nail in the cross for good kind of thing.
Right. So if you can if you can make sense of it in one way, another version pops up and hammers you.
That's right.
So it's very hard to heal from something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a very common thing. I just saw on Facebook some statistics about rape, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say they are woefully underreported.
Really? Even like 1 out of 4 women have been, molested, raped, blah, 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 and you think that's still too low?
If you include assault, molestation, unwanted sexual encounters of any kind, I would say it's probably more like 3 out of 4 of us.
Wow, okay. Huh. That's kind of true, actually, and I'm just having a quick flashback to my head of all the women friends in my life and how many times I've been touched inappropriately or, pushed or blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was assaulted on the metro in Paris when I was a senior in high school.
And See, and then there's a part of me that wants to qualify and quantify what does assaulted on the metro mean and look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll tell you, and before I tell you, I'm going to say I felt violated, and that should be enough.
Yeah.
But it's not. Because of our shame stories.
Right.
Because of our culture, the way we deal with sex and sexuality, and primarily as Americans.
So what you're saying is that what I'm experiencing in my head right now, where I need to quantify it, so that there's a part of me that would discount it or moderate it or go, oh, well, that was bad, but this is not that bad. You know, like that mechanism of my brain that's doing right now is from shame.
I believe it is.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I love it. So it's like that's how you know if you have shame in your head. It's like this is like a shame, what is that called? A product of shame or something.
Yeah, and I would even say whether you're trying to make it worse or not as bad.
Right.
You know, that it's kind of like when you're trying to mitigate it and make it seem like, oh, it's not such a big deal. Not such a big deal because I liked it, or not such a big deal because it was over my clothes, or not such a big deal because it happened so fast and then he went off on his own. He didn't have to be pulled off of me.
Yeah.
Like all of those things are making me wrong.
Right.
For feeling uncomfortable about an experience I had. And that makes me not trust myself.
It's so big. It's so big because again, I think everything I do is all to teach me to be a better mom for my daughter. I mean, I think that's my biggest drive, you know.
Me
and
too.
I could just see how to react or not react, you know, if and when anything ever happens to her, you know, like the kind of questioning that I would be asking, the kind of, you know, reactiveness that I might do, you know, like, well, what happened? Who did what to you? You know, and where were you? Like all those things would be quickly interpreted by her brain because it's picking up from my brain that, you know, I'm trying to quantify and I'm trying to diminish her experience. I'm trying to deal with the shame that's coming up and I didn't know.
Yeah. And in that situation, to not do that, the very first thing to say is you are entitled to your experience and your feelings are valid. Now tell me what happened.
Yeah. Wow. Oh. Well, I hope I don't have to go there. But
I hope you don't either, and I hope I never have to go there too.
Yeah.
But statistically speaking, at least one of us probably will.
Yeah.
If they tell us.
Exactly.
Now, you and I both have pretty open relationships with our daughters, but I also know that, I mean, mine has even said, Mom, it's just weird to tell you things.
Oh.
Because they're socialized that, you know, parents are not cool and, you know, they won't understand, and no matter how open you are. I mean, I had a radio show for years called The Booty Doctors where we talked to men about women, sex, and relationships, and so she's heard it all. And still, and I think actually from a boundary standpoint, I think it's appropriate that they're not telling their mothers all of these things as long as they have someone that they can tell.
But who else can they tell?
Well,
Everyone else is so screwy about this.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter has some cousins that are older that have, good heads on their shoulders and a good perspective. And I hope that if something bad happens, that she does feel safe enough to tell me. And I hope that that's true for your daughter as well. You know what's crazy?
What?
Look at just how deep we've gone in this shame thing around sex.
Yeah.
Okay? We haven't even scratched the surface about body image or parenting abilities or how we are in the workplace, our relationship with food. There's so many ways that shame affects people. And I think personally that sex and money are the two biggest shame triggers.
Right.
So I'm really excited that we're talking about it today.
Yeah. I'm actually feeling really like overwhelmed. It's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot, and I would categorize myself as one who doesn't live in shame, and when I'm in touch with it, so I can just extrapolate and think, holy shit, if people out there who are living with shame as their next door neighbor, like really close to it, it must just zap so much energy and joy out of our life.
It does. It is absolutely a joy sucker. And I actually want to back up a little bit, because this is like the work that I deal with on a daily basis. So I forget sometimes that if someone out there is hearing about this for the first time, you might feel like you've just been punched in the gut. And so I want to say a couple of things. First and foremost, whatever your experience has been, your feelings about it are valid. You have a right to your feelings. And you have a right to express yourself about it.
And however you feel is perfect, is right.
Exactly. Nobody can tell you to feel a certain way or not to feel a certain way, that you shouldn't feel guilty or you shouldn't be upset about whatever it is that happened. They're not you. They have no right to tell you how to feel. And, when I talked about shame not being able to survive in the truth, the very first step to healing is to tell the truth about your experience to someone. And if it's too painful to tell another person, write it down. Write down what happened to you.
Nice.
Happened and how it felt and what you think about yourself as a result and what you want to heal. And I definitely recommend finding someone safe to talk to. I mean, I will tell my deepest, darkest secrets to anybody who asks, but I've got a lot of experience with exposing my shame stories and with allowing myself to be really deeply vulnerable.
Well, I think something really important here, too, is that who you tell is so important, because a lot of people are not capable of holding this depth of a conversation.
Yeah.
It makes them uncomfortable, so they will try to lighten it up, or they'll try to pacify it or put a blanket over it, or take it off and tell their story on top of it, because they themselves are dying to tell their secrets and shames and all that stuff too. So really, I mean, like, do yourself a favor and get someone who really qualified to listen to your story. You can contact me. You can contact Johanna. That's what we do. This is our profession. So I'm not. It's not like I'm trying to plug us, but I'm just saying is that you have to have some discernment so that you can be safe when you tell your story. And what I mean by that is that you need a sacred space so that you can tell the story. You need to be held appropriately. Like, I couldn't tell my story if Johanna wasn't here. Like, I don't do a show where me just talking into a black box, because I don't feel held that way. Like, I need to have a very competent partner here that I could go that far and could hold and could help me look deeper there. So that's something that's really an important task for you to do for yourself, because if you don't do this well, then it's going to feel like another rape or another injury that you're doing to yourself because you didn't protect yourself well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm so glad you said that because people, if it's handled poorly, and you just described all the ways that people, when they're uncomfortable, when they can't hold the space, they'll try to laugh it off or make it seem like not a big deal, or they'll try to trump your story with their story, and that is just really scary and feels really unsafe. And people have to earn the right to hear your story.
Oh, I love that. People have to earn the right to hear your story. So speaking of that, tell us about your upcoming show in San Jose.
Okay. Talk about vulnerability. This story, there's eight performers coming together to tell the most incredible stories. The hardest part of this for me is not giving away any of their secrets before the performance. But I will tell you a little bit about my story. Is that my background, my existence. I was a product of an unmarried Irish Catholic woman in the 1960s.
Oh, good God. There's a lot of guilt and drinking in there.
I was fed shame through the umbilical cord.
Oh, honey.
You know, and my journey, which I talk about in my performance, is about unraveling the inherited shame.
Yeah.
And learning that I am enough, that there's nothing wrong with me, that I have value. And that journey for me led me to create this performance, to show, like, if one person in the audience realizes, oh, this story that I've been carrying around with me all these years, maybe it's not true. Maybe there's nothing wrong with me after all.
Yeah.
And it is my mission to unravel these not good enough stories. And I do it in my coaching practice, and I'm going to be doing it, you know, in a grand scale at this theater. And the theater is the Heritage Theater in Campbell, California. It's right outside of San Jose. And the performance is on Sunday, June 15th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wait, hold on. You said Sunday, June 15th. That's not right.
Sunday, September 15th. Sorry, I just moved, and my stuff isn't here yet, and so I don't know what day it is or what month it is, and I keep getting dates wrong, so thank you for catching that. Yeah, so it's Sunday, September 15th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's at the Heritage Theater. You can get tickets by calling the Heritage Theater. Let's see, that number is 866-2700, or you can go to the website, which is openingpandorasbox.com, and there's a link there. You can buy tickets online, or you can call the theater, and they've got all the information there on the home page.
Hey, this is kind of putting you on a spot, but we didn't ask about this, but the inspiration just struck, so I'm just going to check it out with you. Is it possible for my listeners to win a pair of tickets if they email us and do something fun for, with us, or make some comments or share something?
Yeah, I like that idea.
So let's make a game for them. What shall we do with them? What shall we make them jump through hoops to win a pair of tickets?
Let's see. Well, I want this to feel safe. I'd love to hear some of their stories.
Yeah.
About shame, but I also want them to feel safe. And I know your page is it's an open page.
Right. I don't want that. You know what? Why don't we just have them email me?
Me?
And then so when I get that email, I'll put them all into a hat and then do a drawing. And then the general invite is that since it's a private email, I'm the only one that look at my email. If you like to share your stories and you'd like that story to be known, we'll keep your names and all the people in there, private and all that stuff. But if you like to share your story, feel free to email me, May, M-A-I, at I'm so tired right now. I'm just going to go with this email because it's so much easier for me to remember, which is at mayvucoach.com, MAIVU coach.com. So May at mayvucoach.com. And just say that, you'd like to come to the show in September 15 in Campo, San Jose, and you'd like to win a pair of tickets. And if you like to, you can share a story, but you don't have to. Just email me. That's fun enough for us.
Yeah, and if you have a story and the thought of performing it at some point is appealing to you, say no and give her permission to pass your information along to me.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, because we will be having another performance at the end of next year in the Bay Area again, and I will be looking for performers. So.
Yeah, you can perform it with me.
Yes, well, I hope you'll be part of it. That will be great.
I will.
Good, and let's do that drawing. Let's do it let's do it on my birthday on August 16th. That'll give listeners a chance anybody who's not listening live will have a chance to listen. And we'll do the drawing on August 16th.
How fun! Thanks for the deadline, too. Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay. So let's see. How do they get a hold of you if they want to find you, honey?
They can, there's a bunch of ways. I have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/opening Pandora's Box. The website is openingpandorasbox.com, and my email is Johanna, which is JOHANNA @openingpandorasbox.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for me, I always give away one complimentary discovery session for my listener. If you like to do some discovering with me, you can discover about your relationship, what you want more or less of. You can discover about your life or career or whatever. So that would be super fun, and it's a whole hour. Actually, it's an hour and a half, all for you with me directly. So if that is something of use for you, and it's my way of thanking you back for being a loyal listener and for sharing and liking my radio show and encouraging me to keep going over the years. Okay, so let's see. Thanks.
Next.
Go ahead, honey.
Can I just thank you for your willingness to be so vulnerable today in sharing your story? I really appreciate that you felt safe enough to do that, and I know that it's going to help somebody who's listening. So I just really want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you so much, honey. Thank you. It's nice to have an equal on the show with me sometimes, like you're holding me as much as I am holding you in this conversation, and so I felt really safe, and it was really good for me to dig a little deeper around that. One more round around this whole thing, it's an endless peeling of the onion, as they say.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. So this coming Thursday night, I do have a Google Hangout, and it is on creating your sexual practice, which is, I love this topic, and I can't wait to see how that turns out, because I think we all have practices in our life. We have eating practices or exercise practice and even spiritual practice or going to church practice, but what is our sexual practice? And the more conscious we become around that, the more healthy we will become. So that's what I'm all about. So join us on Google Hangout, on YouTube, on the Sex, Lies, and Consciousness or Mayvu Coach channel. It's Mayvu Coach channel, and you'll find my the live hangout at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, this coming Thursday night. All right. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. I'm actually on vacation next week, so there'll be a rerun of the show.
Do you want more sex, lies, and consciousness? Access our archives at sexliesandconsciousness.com. While you're there, please leave your comments or suggestions for the show and participate in current SLC conversations with other listeners worldwide.